All right. Confidence. Confidence is key. And, learning about the mistake you made and also learning about, the situation. You know, I'm over here, I'm recording, and my personality is already slightly shifting a bit because of how I'm thinking about my situation after realizing and recording, my thing. So, we're going to start over. All right. And as we start over, the same energy I had before recording this video should still pertain when I'm making this video. And the video that I'm making today is going to be called My Ego. Alright? So, you guys are probably wondering why I'm making a video like this. And I'm quite literally making a video about this simply because of what I learned, especially after what I've experienced yesterday. And I know yesterday was a pretty tough day, but I'm going to just try to trim it down and explain it the best way I can. Alright? So, yesterday, I was casually playing my video games and stuff like that. Like, technically, like what I'm doing right now. I'm playing my video games and, kind of just explaining to somebody or talking to the people that I talk to online on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of the time, when I do these things, I'm often loud. You know what I'm saying? And something came in, and a person came in, and they were telling me, okay, you're being too loud. I can hear you, like, all the way from where I'm at. And also, I think it's time now for me to start putting the foot down and being like, okay, since you don't want to cooperate and you keep on having this problem, I'm going to make sure that I stop this by making by putting an end to the root cause of this, which is turning off the internet at times when everybody's about to go to sleep, or at times when I'm about to go to sleep, or, so on and so forth. Or, just completely saying, no to, me having the stuff that I quite literally enjoy. Basically, taking away my privileges. So then, I thought about that scenario for a sec, and I really hope that what I said made sense, but, I thought about what he said, and I kind of had a problem about it, and I said it kind of didn't make any sense because of the environment and the situation that I'm in. Besides, there are other ways that I could work around, I could work around doing this if he even did do that. So, I decided to, as time progressed, I decided to explain to my friends the situation, and, I kind of got a little too carried away, but I was also mad, and then I said if he does choose to turn the internet off or, like, take something that I really enjoy from me because I'm being loud, I'm going to do something about it. And even if they believe that I won't do anything about it, I will do something about it. So the first approach and the first initiative approach I tried going about talking to this guy that, had a problem with me being loud was I decided to talk to him. He didn't want to talk to me because of how long we have had this problem. You know what I'm saying? We've had this problem for a very long time. And it's gotten to a tipping point where they're like, okay, you know what? I've had enough. So I'm going to just shut it down. So basically, he didn't want to talk to me, and I was like, okay, you don't want to talk to me? Alright, that's fine. I'll talk to somebody else about it. I'll do something about it. Now, one thing that I will say that was a tipping point for me was I actually stood my ground the best way I could, and I was like, okay, since he doesn't want to talk to me, I'm going to personally do something about it, which I did. I talked to somebody else about it, and when I talked to them about it, they had to question me, like, do you ever wonder why, they have a problem with you being loud, or they have a problem with, doing this, that, and the third? And I said yes, and I understand their problem, and I understand their situation, but as I was explaining to the other guy, the situation, and my side, or my point of view, to everybody it would sound flawed because not only is it a day-to-day basis and they have to put up with it, but also like it would be flawed simply because not only am I not good at explaining myself when I'm in a situation where I feel like I'm being attacked, but also I had a a bit of a fit to the other person. And technically, when you have a fate, you start to like lose control of a lot of things, and then you then say like, okay, fine, if they're saying that I need to control myself and things like that, even though I am trying to do that and I am trying to work on that, and they don't see that, then what I'm going to start doing myself is I'm going to make sure that if I can't have things that I like to have, then nobody can. And when I said that, then the other guy decided to talk to everybody, or talk to the guy that I was talking to, you know, about, well, all right, we're just gonna call them thing A, thing no, person A, person B. All right, while I'm the protagonist or the main character of the situation. Okay, so person A was, let's just label person A as the guy that I had a problem, that technically had a problem with me being loud and, you know, me projecting my voice and stuff like that, etc., etc. While person B is the person that I initially talked to after the situation that I was in, where I try to explain to them that, you know, this is happening and I'm going to escalate it in a way where technically, you know, this, that, and a third. So first thing first, person B says, okay, first of all, this person paid for the router and he has the power to control the internet. Yes, I pay for the internet bill and so on and so forth, but he controls the internet, so on and so forth. All right. So yeah, I make sure that all of you guys have access to the internet so that, you know, you can do it for the things that you need. And then I say, yes, that makes sense. And I don't like the fact that when desperate needs calls for desperate measures, we have to put measures in the, well, I told person B that I don't like desperate, when desperate measures calls for desperate needs, and, I feel like I'm going to have to do something if everybody's going to be neutral to it and, you know, say that it's me that's the problem. You know what I'm saying? Because not only do I not like when people say that I'm the problem, but also they do things to make me change, but they do it in a way that makes me not enjoy myself and, you know, could eventually cause, you know, problems for everybody. So then push came to shove. Person B decided to call down person A and also decided to talk to me, wanted me to sit down, and also, you know, we have a talk. All right. And then person B says, all right, what I'm going to do if this continues to happen, since what I'm hearing is basically fudge, how do I explain this? How do I explain this the best way possible without, you know, it's difficult, you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, man, being a content creator is difficult, all right? Especially when it comes to explaining things. Being a content creator is very difficult. But how do I put this? Person B calls person A down while I'm also talking. And you know, we all come to our senses, we all come down, you know, we talk, and we talk things out. And person B says, if this situation continues to occur and he as in me, the main person who's saying, or the main person who has an issue with the fact that somebody's trying to take away my privilege simply because I'm being loud, and I don't see myself as being loud because I don't believe that to be true because, you know, the situation that I'm in and so on and so forth. What's going to happen is, what person B says is, I'm going to make sure that I get the bat rolling for everybody, making sure that nobody gets the chance to enjoy a great time. You know what I'm saying? If this continues, there doesn't need to be no war. Now, person A explains his side of the story. Person B says, okay, all right. And then he says, why do you have this problem? You know what I'm saying? Why do you have this sort of problem? And I never really know why I have the problem until he started to show me a prime example of what happens when you don't control your ego. And the main premise of this video is talking about ego and talking about how to control your ego and how to keep your composure when talking about this video. So, you know, person A explains the situation, person B says like, okay, got it. He knows both sides of the story. Person B admits that he admits that I admit, or he knows that I admit that, you know, I have a problem with being loud and things like that, and he knows I'm trying to work on that. But obviously, I believe, or I'm the kind of person who believes that I'm the kind of person who believes that nobody's seeing that I'm actually putting in the work to really try to, you know, prove to people that I am really trying to put in the work to doing that. So then, you know, me and person B decided to talk about, you know, the situation at hand, and then he decided to show me an example of what happens when, you know, you don't have self-control, being aware of who you are, what presence you're in, why you're in that situation. Oh crap, I didn't make it back. But why you're in that situation to begin with, and, you know, so on and so forth. He showed me a prime example of what happens, and I then came up with a conclusion to why these problems happen to myself to begin with, and why a lot of people say I do this to myself, you're the problem, or I myself am the problem. And, you know, I don't tend to see it as such. You know what I'm saying? So what I did was I came to the conclusion saying that I think I have a problem, and I think that my biggest problem is my ego. And the reason why I believe that my biggest problem is my ego, and not just only how I talk to people, but also how I play the game. And I want you guys to also know that how I play the game and how I act in the game is a huge reflection of who I am in person. Like, it's basically a huge projection of who I am as a person. And I noticed that after seeing that, it took me a long time to really confirm this to be true. So what I did was I looked at the person who person B says showed me to be as. Fudge, I lost track of what I was saying. Great. And it turned out that his biggest problem was his ego, because he always had to try proving to somebody that, you know, he's, you know, he's the boss, you know what I'm saying? And he did. But the way he was going about doing it led him to jail. It led him in prison. And I noticed that, like, him doing that is quite literally the judgment of what will happen if I don't learn how to control myself and control my ego and recognize that I have an ego. You know what I'm saying? And once I learn how to overcome that ego becomes inner peace. You know what I'm saying? So I had to really think to myself, and I told person B, I think in conclusion, what my biggest issue could be is my ego. And it's not just my ego with certain things, but it's my ego with everything. How I perceive the world, how I see things, how I play the game, how I talk to people, you know, so on and so forth. And why every single time I talk to people and I'm just myself, everybody comes out leading to the same conclusion. Whether they're being serious or not. You know what I'm saying? And I noticed that and you know, a lot of the time when somebody's trying to tell you that your ego is the problem, they're not going to tell you that your ego is the problem. They're going to tell you that you are just the problem. So me making this video is one of the most important videos to make, and kind of like teach you guys what I had to go through and what I had to experience to really see that. Because honestly, if I didn't see it the way I did yesterday, and I kept on going about my ways, not only would I not have peaceful problems with person A and person B and person C, whoever, you know what I'm saying? But also, I would also end up like somebody I don't want to be in the future. I would end up miserable. I would probably be worse than I am right now. And it's a good thing that I have self-awareness to realize, like, my ego is my biggest problem. Because with that, like, as you guys saw in my Mario video, if you guys have not checked out that video, links will be in the description. But as you guys checked out in my Mario video, the most common thing that I do as Mario, the most common thing that I kill as Mario with is a forward smash, down smash, down tilt, down smash, down tilt, forward smash. Look at that! Look at that! Look at that!
Oh, I wanted me to see what she was lonely. I was like, oh, nah, you just want to dip it.
Oh my gosh! You guys have seen it. You guys see that every single time when I play as Mario, I always try to finish off with a forward smash or like some type of combo. But as I was editing my video yesterday, I saw my flaw in what I'm doing. So I tried to give myself advice within that video that I was editing. And as I was doing that, my advice wasn't too good, but it wasn't too bad. You know what I'm saying? It was mediocre. But after editing this video and looking back at my video, I noticed that I pull out a lot of forward smash, like a lot of them. And also when I have a combo going, sometimes I mess it up by doing something stupid. Alright, so future me, if you are watching this, I hope that you can learn something new when watching this video. And anybody who plays Mario, I hope you can also learn something new, like what not to do if you have seen how I play. And yeah, that's just about it. Let's just say it was mediocre. And the reason why I'm saying mediocre as a word is simply because, you know, it's advice that only the average person would take. You know what I'm saying? Which means that, like, yes, you need to work on your Mario, but like to some degree your Mario is perfect just the way it is. It just needs a few more adjustments and a few more improvements. You know what I'm saying? But realistically, the advice that I gave wasn't too good. You know what I'm saying? I think the most important advice that I should have given myself was, if I'm going to go with finishing products, I should you know, go about switching things up. And a lot of people have told me that like years ago, but I never thought to listen because I, within my prideful nature and my prideful way of thinking, believed that I was fine just the way I was. And over time, everybody started to get better against me 100%, to the point now the fraction ratio of me winning is almost slim to freaking none. You know what I'm saying? So I'd get my butt handed to me in the worst way possible. Like, I'm getting walked all over. So for those of you guys that play Smash, watching this video is one of the most important videos to learn, because, you know, your biggest problem could be your ego. A lot of people will say that the problem is you, but your biggest problem is your ego. And when you begin to realize that, you then turn to take a step back and be like, okay, all right, I do need to improve on this. But the most importantly, I need to figure out a way to find true comfort, not just average comfort, true comfort, you know, comfort where I know that I have no problem with nobody, I can enjoy the game, I cannot be loud, and, you know, so on and so forth. So, you know how I have a problem with being loud with, you know how I have a problem with being loud? You know, person A would always tell me, like, you're too freaking loud. You know what I'm saying? And the way he would say it is a way that I would have a problem about it, simply because of how he says it. And knowing how I am, I tend to not like how people say things to me. Like, in certain cases, if people say it in a sassy mood or a sarcastic way or in an impolite way or a way that I don't like, I would technically have a problem about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would not like that. You know what I'm saying? And it often made me believe, like, you know what, maybe I'm not the problem. Maybe they're just saying that to really get on my nerves, or, you know, they're saying that because, you know, so on and so forth, instead of really seeing what the problem was. And oftentimes a lot of people will say that the problem is me, but no, the problem is really just my ego, which is the root cause to make people believe that the problem is actually me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I started to look at life very differently after learning that my ego was my biggest problem. I always had to, like, prove something to somebody, you know? And that's probably why I never got far in the things that I would do. You know what I'm saying? Such as, like, for example, you know how I have a strong, well, I don't know if y'all know this, but, like, if y'all see my TikTok videos, y'all know how I have, like, a strong interest to, you know, foreign countries, especially countries like China and stuff like that. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but, you know, you guys know. But one thing that I would never see within myself is that I have an egotistical problem when trying to strive towards, you know, going to places, because I'd often see people travel, wonder why, and why I can't do the same. And without knowing why I can't do the same, the problem would still consist. And as time starts to move faster, I start to get older, I start to get more stressed out, I start to, you know, do things that, you know, you really shouldn't be doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in depression, I start sleeping late at night, I start doing things I'm not really supposed to be doing, and, you know, causing problems with people because they have a problem with me. And then on top of that, I tend to feel like they have a, you know, a smart ass problem, or, you know, not to curse or anything like that, but, you know, they tend to be like an asshole, or in my eyes, they tend to be like a booty hole or an asshole, whatever. And, you know, I take it as such. Now, in some cases, that may be true. But in most cases, if everybody is saying that you are the problem, if it's not just one person saying that you are the problem and stuff like that, and it's multiple people that say it, then you really have to figure out why they're saying that. You know what I'm saying? You really have to, like, take a deep dive. Yes, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt because, you know, after realizing last night that my ego was my biggest problem, and after confirming it with ChatGPT, I know a lot of people would say that ChatGPT is not one of the best ways to freaking express things, but logically it is, because I actually did some research and it actually made sense. And not only did ChatGPT give me compliments, but it also helped me, you know, break down a lot of the issues that I would have. All right, I'm gonna get out of training mode and, you know, start actually doing some matches in Smash Ultimate, because I want to show you guys what I got as Mario as I am, you know, as I am progressing or making progress. You know what I'm saying? Or as I'm talking about this. But the point I'm trying to make is ChatGPT basically broke down the situations and how they, you know, tend to be the reason why I'm not successful when I should be successful. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the number one thing that ChatGPT would mention is that you lack confidence, discipline, and order. Or was it? No. It was confidence. I forgot what it was. I'm probably going to have to pull it up. But as I pull it up, I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. So I'm going to pull it up on my computer real quick. Let me just look that up. Oh, shoot. Go on ChatGPT. Pull up my history. You know what I'm saying? Probably shouldn't pull up my history, but, you know, I'm doing it anyways because, you know. So the topic is called ego self-control. And the three things that ChatGPT mentioned that was very important that I started to recognize was... Oh, wait, let me press the A button. Go ahead and just, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Boundary. That's what it was. Confidence, boundary, and direction. I didn't even... Yeah, there it is. It says it right here. A healthy ego which helps you act with confidence, boundaries, and directions. So, there's a pattern with how I operate. You know what I'm saying? There are times where I have confidence, but I don't have a boundary or direction. There are times where I have a boundaries, but I have no direction and confidence. And then there was a time where I have a direction, but I don't have confidence and boundaries. And then there are situations where I may have two of them, confidence and boundaries, but no direction. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it works just like that, technically. So I had to basically explain it to myself in a way and start asking questions to ChatGPT and so on and so forth. And, you know, I would ask questions like, when you have ego and other people know that you have ego, but the problem is that they will just outright say oh my gosh, I have to fight a little Mac and it's a 3-minute 3-stock. Okay, all right. But back to what I was saying. I don't really... What is this little Mac doing? But back to what I was saying. Let me... Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna win this as I'm talking because it's gonna take me time to practice learning how to focus on on a game, but focus on what I'm talking about at the same time. But I'm going to say it like this. When I started asking ChatGPT that the problem was outright me, the ChatGPT started saying that yes, people will say that the problem is outright just you. And dang it, I just died. But dang. Oh man. But they will say that the problem is outright you, but not see why or how the problem is you by not mentioning your ego. And then there will be some people that will say that you do have an ego, and they see that, but you don't fully understand what they mean when they say you have an ego. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you could have an ego to certain things, and some people can see that true color of, okay, this little Mac just keeps on tossing forward smashes and countering. Alright, I know a way to work around this now. And he's dead. See? Boom. Easy. Easy. But, what I was saying was, crap, I air dodged back. Everybody has an ego. That's what somebody I once knew always says. And, I'm a rematch it. I don't really care if I died, but everybody tends to have an ego, but it's a matter of control in that ego. There is no way on how to get rid of an ego, but you can turn that ego into inner peace. You know what I'm saying? And that's the most important thing, and that's one thing that you have to learn within yourself. If people are saying that the problem is outright you, then it may not just be you, but it may be your ego and how you perform yourself and how you produce yourself in society. When you are running in a situation where people are telling you that you are the problem and things like that, most of the time it's going to be your ego. And I know I've said this multiple times in this video, but that's the whole moral ground to what this video is about. Ego. And if you don't learn how to control your ego can take shape, and it could take form and shape in many different ways. You know what I'm saying? Amongst you, your loved ones, anybody. You know what I'm saying? And it could happen at any given moment in time, especially when you're too prideful and too, delusional to believe that, you are superior and stuff like that. And I learned that, and after learning that, I had to realize what I had to do to really minimize that. Yes, I can still have the mentality of being a superior person. I can also have the mentality of being the best person I could possibly be, and just have it with pure confidence. But if I have no boundary nor no direction, then I may have the confidence in me, but I'm just not successful. I'm not successful, and I'm not able to show it. It's almost like saying, like, a lot of people say, or at least person B, or whoever says, I have articulative problems, like I have a tough time in articulating this, you know what I'm saying? Or articulating certain things, or articulating things in general. That may 100% be true, and it is true, you know what I'm saying? But like, that doesn't mean I should live with it. And if I accept that I have articulating problems but don't put in the work to improve on my articulating problems, then 9 times out of 10, that's telling you that ego, or that's telling me that ego is starting to control me, because I am being delusional to something and I don't want to put in the work to do something. That's basically the same principle. I sometimes have these talks with the people that I talk to online, and I sometimes think that they're the problem, but it's really not them that's the problem. It's really just how you interpret that problem. And sometimes if you can't realize that you yourself are the problem, then technically, if you can't realize that you yourself are the problem, or ask or wonder why people say that you are the problem and why people often say it, then problems will arise, and either 3 things could happen. A, you'll be unsuccessful. B, you will be miserable. Or C, you could probably end up in prison. You know, you'll be in places that you don't want to be in. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically the moral ground of, you know, how it works. And also, there are a lot of people that definitely try to help you, but how they help you can also confuse you sometimes, because there's an importance of, like, I'm gonna use the word toxic for example. All right, so there's two types of toxicities. You have the healthy kind of toxicity, and you have the unhealthy kind of toxicity. So you have the toxicity where people intentionally want to harass you just to harass you. You know what I'm saying? And then you have the healthy kind of toxicity where people are being toxic to you only to help you, or in some cases test you. In some cases make you realize, like, wait a minute, okay, this man is just testing me. And after knowing that he's testing me, I know what I have to do to improve on myself. Or, you know, I know what I have to do to prevent this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's things like that. And I feel like that's one thing that I've learned when, you know, I went through the things that I went through, especially as life goes on. I want to say that this year, for me, was a major year of reflection. It was a major year of reflection, realization, really learning who I am as a person, and also learning how to properly discern that. You know what I'm saying? How to properly discern it, how to go through trial and error, how to go through situations to prevent, you know, problems like that from ever happening again. And sometimes you have to be the bigger man to really do something about it. But most of the time you have to take heed and really learn what you do and how you do and what you have to do to really but you have to, like, take heed and learn how to really you have to take heed and learn how to, like, accept things, even if there are things that you don't like. They're hard pills to swallow. Have you heard, like, if you, in modern days, we have things called red pill, blue pill, white pill, black pill. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know what pill to take, but you have to just be really neutral and really acceptive, and, you know, be calm and be patient, you know, learn to control yourself, but also recognize that you have an ego and how to control that ego. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's really important. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I just got my butt handed to me by a Little Mac, and I myself am a Little Mac player, but I don't really care about how I got my butt handed to me or whatever. I honestly care about the moral of this video and the whole principle of this video and how I should present myself to other people. I don't know when I'm actually going to upload this video. I might probably upload this video probably after I get off of Smash and probably boost my GSP up as Mario. Or you know what? I might just add a bonus feature to this video, like trying to get Mario back up to where he was. But what I think I should do on a day-to-day basis when I upload this video is I think I should rewatch it. And anybody who is, like, in the same boat or is somewhat on the same boat or the same capacity as I am, it's best to rewatch this video too, because this video might also help you as well. You know what I'm saying? And my goal when making this video is to try to help people. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be a person that's, like, you know, delusional, or, you know, I have problems with things and don't know how to fix it and fall victim to my own thing or my own trap. You know what I'm saying? Very educational stuff. It's very important, and, you know, learning, like, making videos like this is just important. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really important. I'm gonna try to get Mario back up in the process. So but after making this video, the reason why I chose Smash Ultimate, I don't think I've mentioned this earlier in the video, but the reason why I decided to choose Smash Ultimate, because Smash Ultimate is not only one of the greatest games, but it's also one of the most competitive games to play. And a lot of people are frustrated by how stupid this game works. You can do something stupid and it just works, okay? But you have to know why it works and how not to be delusional to it. You know what I'm saying? Because the moment you're delusional to it, it's over. It's a wrap. You will never win. Or maybe you'll win, and that win will pleasure you, but it'll only pleasure you for a certain amount of time. which is why I haven't been able to really get far when I fight the people that I fight online, and also play quick play and not win successfully. You know what I'm saying? I'm still thinking about figuring out how to get Greninja into Elite Smash. That's going to be a video on its own, but I'm not going to start it today. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to, like, you know, work on Mario, because after watching my Mario video, I noticed how many times I've been using forward smash, and I know that that's a big problem, and I need to work on that. I need to work on different options and different approaches. But, like, egos, another important thing to know about egos is the fastest way for you to develop a bad habit. It's the fastest way for you to develop a bad habit. That's really important. So remember that I said that. Especially when it comes to video games. It's a really bad habit. You know what I'm saying? I thought that I had an ego with just certain things in life at the beginning of this year, but no. It turns out that I have an ego with everything. And after realizing that, I noticed, like, okay, I really do have to improve. I really do have to work on it. Now, of course, there are going to be things that I'm not going to like, but it's always important to address that I'm not going to like it, and I have to talk. And if the other person, or, you know, people refuse to, you know, talk about it, and they just straight up say that you're the problem, and they don't help you find out why the reason you're the problem is, other than telling you that you are the problem, then you just have to do some insightful research and just work on yourself. Try to just be a better person. You know what I'm saying? And also, in some cases, just be like, you know what, man? Alright, you know what? I'll work on myself. And if this guy is still the same person, then it's just him. You know what I'm saying? And that's really how you have to look at it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I've been learning. Now, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this YouTube video. Please leave a like, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, follow me on TikTok. I might make a short version of this on TikTok. And also, stay tuned for another one of my Twitch stream lives. I was thinking about editing a couple more or a few more of my Twitch lives, and, you know, just working on the grinds of the characters that I normally grind with, like Mario. Y'all don't believe it, but I also play Donkey Kong, Ness, Luigi, Kirby. The only reason why I got these other characters into Elite Smash was because of team play, alright? But I was also grinding with Bowser, somewhat Mr. Game & Watch, Incineroar, Kazuya. Well, actually, Kazuya not so much. I still gotta work on Kazuya. Of course, Little Mac, because, you know, Little Mac is one of them boys that get my punches in. They get them punches in. You know what I'm saying? But, Ganondorf, you know, I'm working on Ganondorf. I'm working on a lot of characters. I'm working on improving those characters. So, it's things of that nature. So, yeah, I really hope you guys learned something new with this video. I really hope that this video was educational. And I might make more videos like this in the future, because, you know, sometimes you really have to talk about life. Especially when life can be a bitch to you. No offense. Not to say it like that. But when life can be a bitch to you, you know, it's best to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, that's very important. And I feel like I did a really good job when making this video. And also, like, first off, realizing self-awareness, and also learning things morally. So, that's the key today. And, as time goes on, I'm gonna try to work on being a better person. You know what I'm saying? A better person than I ever was. And breaking out of, like, the delusions and stuff like that that I have, without realizing that I have those delusions. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna definitely work on that. So, yeah. And for those of you guys that are also going through the same thing, like I said, y'all work on that stuff too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very important. And it's very educational. Now, I was gonna keep this video raw, but I did have to cut some things out, because I must have said, like, a little too much. I got a little too carried away with some of the things that I was saying, but most of this video is going to be raw, because it's important that I talk about this. By the way, before I made this video, I really had to think about how I was going to make this video, and I had to think hard and really put my soul into this video to really help other people, because that's what's really important. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this YouTube video. Please leave a like, subscribe. Peace. I love y'all. Trying to make sure that this man doesn't get enough hits on me. I'm not gonna lie, man. This man's Mewtwo is very neutral, I have to say. Well, actually, I wouldn't really say that. But, like, if I give him enough ground, he can make a comeback. So I gotta really focus on that. I thought he was gonna fall for the forward smash. I felt for the forward smash. He didn't know you on me. Okay. Okay, he knows he's doing panic options now.